In this video, we're going to be talking about the complete and utter implosion of the Genshin Impact community. If you guys don't know what that is, I know I haven't really touched on any games yet. It is a gacha game that came out like 4 years ago now, 3 years. I don't even know. It's been a while, and there has been ongoing beef between some of the content creators for years now, and it's just been going back and forth. It's been heated here and there, and then kind of died down. And then today, somebody named Braxophone decided to release a tweet at the main, we'll call the antagonist at least, of the whole situation, which was basically just going to town on trying to understand Atsu is the guy and why he feels like he's been ostracized by him. And yeah, it just fell like a house of cards today. It was the last straw that broke the camel's back, and it all came tumbling down. Everybody has been coming out against him now. It's been on people's minds for years, it looks like, and they just haven't spoken up about it until today when Brax finally decided to speak out about it. I mean, he's a smaller content creator, and I mean, this post alone has 5.1 million views, which is way bigger than his following is. And so it's really cool to see these smaller content creators kind of feeling like they can speak out because I really don't want to try and be biased too much because it's like I'm not even really a content creator for these games. I may at some point, I don't know, but from what I've seen, Atsu's just not that great of a guy. I mean, the stories that I have heard spun by him and the words he tries to use in certain situations just doesn't come across as somebody who's very meaningful and well intentioned with their approach to things. Um, it feels you can almost feel like there's some tension there behind some interactions with certain people in the community. The main one being between him and then somebody else called. Let me see. Sorry, I have all these tabs open. Tectone. Tectone is a very big content creator in the space, and they've been having beef for years. I mean, it really started happening when Tectone and his friend called Goose Egg. If I could pull it up here, I think yeah, this was the whole article, and this was the tweet that was made. It basically ended in Goose indefinitely stopping streaming. He got to the point where he was so depressed and people just kept attacking him that he ultimately decided to throw in the towel because he just didn't want to handle it anymore. And I don't blame him. I mean, it's one thing to go into content creation understanding that people are just going to hate you, and that's just how it is. And you kind of accept that when you start. And it's another thing to just be constantly bombarded. You ban people, they get around the ban and they start attacking you again. And so yeah, I mean it culminated in him stopping streaming. And I thought he was a good guy. I think him and Techie are both good guys. They're not perfect, obviously. And I hate this I hate the argument that somebody is worse than somebody else or whatever. And it's like, okay, obviously people are going to have differing opinions on different things. People calling things for what they are doesn't make them a bad person. And sometimes they might do something on camera that they didn't really mean to do or comes across the wrong way or was bad. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can't hold one clip against somebody. It's repeated events, repeated actions, at least in this case, that lead to a conclusion. You can't just be a one-stop shop for one clip you saw on the internet, a 1 minute long clip of an argument. I'll get to that in a later point in this video. And so anyway, to kind of set this all up, I think all of this really started when Techie made I think it was a video about, I know what really started getting the ball rolling was when he made the comment that Zhongli didn't need a buff. Zhongli is a character in Genshin. Anyway, everybody was outraged because they didn't feel he was strong enough, and so Mihoyo, now Hoyoverse, ended up buffing him. And that kind of got the ball rolling with people like kind of hating on Tectone or whatever because he was wrong or something like that. So anyway, it's just been an ongoing thing for years now at this point. And then there was the thing with Goose and Atsu, so Techie and Atsu kind of split ways. And so yeah, it's been just a back and forth between them and all that. And then Braxophone is now to catch up. Sorry, it's all over the place. I feel like I won't even be able to get all the details in here. And so then Braxophone came out and started talking about. He released this document, basically writing down, wanting to understand why Atsu, the Asian guy stream, was ostracizing him for. I mean, that's what he felt like. He didn't understand. He felt like he was just trying to befriend somebody, and he felt like he just was not getting through, and Atsu just was not really showing the same interest, which is understandable. I mean, you don't have to like everybody, but it almost felt like there was some of the reasoning behind it. And so he released this article, and it exploded. And this is the beginning of the end, really. I mean, it all culminated and fell down today. It has 5.1 million views, which is a ton, especially for him because he's a mid-sized content creator. He's got 250,000 YouTube subs and 30K followers on Twitch. Obviously a lot bigger than I am, but not as big as some of the other like bigger creators in there, Asian guy stream being one. And so he released this saying that he felt like he has been nothing but just trying to be a friend and everything, friendly to him, and he's been getting nothing but pushback from him, and to the point where it feels like Atsu's been trying to undercut him with Mihoyo and stuff. Hoyoverse, sorry, they changed their name. And so now, after he released that, now everybody else is starting to speak up. And so this is where things are starting to stack up against Atsu. It has been a thing for years now that people think that Atsu kind of has an inside scoop, an internal pull within Hoyoverse. I don't want to say like it's an actual thing or like how much he has if he does. But there was a bunch of streams going on today just going back and forth about how if he has the power and the pull to be able to bring people on, then naturally he should be able to have the power and the pull to take people off. And so that was the argument people were making. And so when Braxophone released this, everybody else started coming out and saying, yeah, I feel the same way actually. It feels like Atsu hasn't really been helping, and if anything, he's been undermining my success, at least a lot of the smaller ones. And so yeah, I mean, it just keeps going on and keeps going on. I don't have all of the links open here, but it just went absolutely nuts today. There was streams going on just discussing all of the different scenarios and things that were happening. And then people decided that they had to add their 2 cents into it. So Enviosity, who is another content creator, decided to release a whole thing on why Tectone's bad And this whole situation really wasn't even about Tectone to begin with. I mean, he was involved, but the entire reason this all started and eventually collapsed is because people felt that Atsu was undermining them in terms of having a relationship with other content creators and undermining them with the context of Hoyoverse as a company. Because it felt like Atsu, well, it's not even felt like he even says that he was a part of the process of getting content creators on board to go to some of these events to get these events organized. And so then Enviosity had to chime in saying that Tectone's bad or whatever, and then Techie had to make this whole long thing about how Envy is very sensitive. And I kind of agree. I don't really understand why Envy had to make this post that he did. I don't have the post on screen here. Oh, okay. It it's titled "My Trauma with Tectone," and so yeah, unfortunately, it seems like Envy's a kind of a very sensitive guy, and it sounds like it's to the point where whenever somebody says something about him, even half-heartedly or like a joke or whatever, he takes it to heart. And so it ended up culminating in him referring to Tectone's divorce that happened. Sorry, I lost the thing here. Where are we at? Oh, I gotta go back. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I have so many links open. And so then Tectone, of course, had to respond because Envy was claiming that Tectone was undermining him and all this, and then eventually Envy had to chime in about Tectone's divorce, and that was kind of like, okay, now it's getting a little out of hand. There's absolutely no reason in any circumstance whatsoever to bring anybody's family into it. Very, very cheap, very, very low. And yeah, it basically, when he brought that situation into it, he kind of lost all credibility. I'm going to keep it real. There was really no reason to add that in. And so, on top of the fact that he seems like a very sensitive guy, which is kind of odd to me because, I mean, if you want to be on the internet, I mean, yeah, he's only an avatar. People don't know what he looks like. But still, I mean, if you want to, he's got like 800,000 followers on Twitter, or 900,000 followers on Twitch, or something like that. Like he's pretty big on Twitch, and it just seems like that if you want to be a content creator with some staying power, you have to have thick skin. It, I mean, obviously it's better when people don't say the really negative things about you, but I mean, if you can't even handle the jokes and things like that, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of trouble in the upcoming years if you can't even take that. A lot of people came out of the woodwork today. There was a lot of people trying to blame Techie and blame other people while missing the entire point of this argument, that it has just felt like for years that Atsu has had seemingly more power and pull with Hoyoverse than with other people. And so that was the main point of why all this started, or at least this specific part of it, and why the whole situation just collapsed. And now there's just more and more reports coming out against Atsu. I believe Teki said there was like 22 at this point. And so yeah, it's just stacking up against him, and he can't really defend against all of it either. I mean, obviously there just has to be proof that comes out that says that he is able to defend against these claims, because if he can't, then people are going to run with it in either way they want to anyway, with all the different reports that are coming out. But it's stacked heavily against Atsu. Let's just put it that way. And so I keep saying Atsu. His Asian guy stream is his tag on Twitter. You can look all of this up on Twitter, by the way. I just have the different tweets up to kind of show you just an overview. I'm not going to go and read all of them because it would be like a super long video. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many people speaking out against Atsu, feeling that he has undermined them as a creator, has ostracized them, and with connection with Hoyoverse, with sponsorships and things like that. Because if he is indeed somebody who has the pull with Hoyoverse to add people on, he then in theory would have the pull to be able to exclude people. And so yeah, it's been an ongoing thing for years with Techie's drama with Genshin and it being bad, which isn't really about that, but I mean I kind of agree. I played Genshin in the past. I don't really play it anymore. But it even sparked from that between Genshin and then Hoyoverse's other game, Honkai Impact or Honkai Star Rail, sorry. And just how the Honkai Star Rail team has seemed to be more involved, more interactive, giving the players more, updating the game more, whereas Genshin has just kind of been the same stale thing. I mean, they just released. It wasn't even loadouts. It was like a very half-assed loadout thing they released, and that took what 3.5 years. I can't even remember what year we're in for the game. It's been that long. But yeah, so it started with that, and it's moved, progressed to this point, and then it just fell apart today. It's just huge, huge drama. I'm sure it's going to be all over the internet. So I just kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on the situation because I played Genshin in the past, and I played a little bit of Star Rail. And I agree with Techie from the standpoint that Star Rail is just way more supported, and it feels like Hoyoverse's team for Star Rail really respects the players more than the Genshin side of Hoyoverse. And Genshin has just kind of been the same thing for a while. I mean that's why I stopped playing, to be honest. I mean, I even spent more money than I would like to admit on that game, and it's still just like there's just no point to play it because there's nothing. My characters can already do everything in the game, so there's no point in me playing it. So anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to make a video as best as I could. Obviously, it was all over the place, but I just kind of wanted to give my perspective on the whole situation. I agree with Tectone more than I do with Atsu. Atsu, ever since the whole situation with Goose Egg, Tectone's friend, has been kind of I wouldn't say somebody I've kept on a blacklist, but somebody that I've kept an eye out for. I mean, I don't really watch their streams too much anyway, but I mean, especially his. Whenever I see clips of him and stuff, it's like, yeah, I just don't know, man. The whole situation was handled so poorly by him that everything he's done since then has been so fishy, and this is kind of just reaffirming what I heard. So it is good to see at least a little bit of closure on this. The community's kind of being shambles for a little bit, but I do believe, and somebody else I heard had mentioned this, I'm sure a lot of people have mentioned it. I think it's going to be good for the community as a whole to kind of rebuild because it seems like it has been propped up in a way from people trying to be on Atsu's good side and so they weren't able to actually befriend other content creators and things of that nature. And so yeah, this has just been a whole situation building up, and today was the day that it fell apart. It's just how it is. And so yeah, overall, I'm pretty excited that people were able to feel like they had a voice and were able to speak out against it. I hope that everybody can learn from this situation, that it is important to be someone of integrity, meaning that you need to be someone who does the right thing when nobody's watching. Now, obviously, there's debates on what the right thing is, but really, at the end of the day, that's what this is about. It's from what I've seen of the tweets and the responses and the documents that have come out, Atsu is not someone of integrity, and that's just all there is to it. It just people were calling him a snake, and I kind of have to agree. I mean, you have this much evidence stacked against you, and nothing has come out to disprove any of it. What else? What else are we supposed to think? Like, I just don't understand. So yeah, very overall a very negative but a very positive day, and the Genshin Hoyoverse Honkai community as a whole. And I'm hoping that from now on it will begin to grow anew with healthier, better relationships between content creators, and maybe we'll see some new content creators emerge from this. I know that I butchered the hell out of that, but I did my best to kind of give an overview on where it kind of started and where it culminated in today, the different dramas and things like that that have been going on that kind of built up to the point we're at now. And yeah, I'm hoping that from here on out, it just gets better. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you around. Peace.